Alright, what's going on, guys? I'm going to be going over my Rapier Fireside PvP build. Let's get right into our attributes here. We're going to start off with 235 intelligence, 50 constitution, and 73 dexterity. The order in which you want to put your points in is get 100 intelligence first, then 50 constitution, then back into intelligence, get that 150, then 50 dexterity, then you want to get 200 intelligence, and after that you either can go for 250 intelligence to get this passive here, or you can go 100 dexterity to get the 5% thrust damage. That is honestly up to you. It comes down to personal preference. But after that, I would then try and push for 300 intelligence here to get more damage against full health targets. Another important passive is you could get this dodge cost 10 less stamina per dodge. So that's another passive, but I would recommend going up to 300 intelligence, allowing us to do more damage with our fire staff, since our fire staff is going to be our primary weapon in this build, which I'll get more into later. The passive that you note, so you get 50 dex to get that 5% crit, 50 constitution to get all health consumables are 20% stronger. This is a very strong passive. They have 10% damage to light and heavy magic attacks, 10% to critical damage. This is a massive good passive. 15% elemental damage, since our fire staff's elemental, and our rapier will be more elemental the higher you go with the gems. And then the 200 intelligence to allow us to get that 10 mana after a roll dodge. Very, very strong. Alright, first I'm going to go over what I'm running, and then I'm going to go over what you should be running and how you should run it. So this is, if you guys are wondering what I'm running in the videos, this is what I'm running. I'm running all faction gear level 40 with points set with a malachite gem, which gives you elemental and physical absorption, and then a moonstone gem, which gives you slash damage absorption. For our amulet here, whenever you're hit below 50% HP, you get 80 mana, has a 60-second cooldown. Our ring here, we run this just for our fire damage, and for our earring, we just run an earring. For our weapon, it's the 35 faction rapier with a ruby gem, and we have a random drop fire staff. Alright, now let's go into what I think you guys should run. Alright, I think you should run a medium helmet, a light chest, a light glove, a medium pant, and a light boots. What you want to put on all this is you want to put this passive right here. Fireball impacts deal 5% additional damage. This will be insane later on. As you can see from this chest right here, this actually goes up to 25% additional damage. So imagine having 25% additional damage on all 5 of your pieces for your fireball. That fireball is going to start ramping up some nasty damage numbers. That's what I recommend running. So I recommend getting this passive on all your armor, since it can actually be applied to all your armor. For your amulet, I recommend either using the passive I have here, or this passive refreshing evasions. So whenever you roll dodge, you get like 1 second cooldown to all your abilities. If you can, I recommend actually running this one. Potion cooldowns are 22% faster, but I don't think you run this on an amulet. But this is what you will be running on your earring, since this passive is massively important. And then for your ring, you want this. You deal 4.3% more fire damage. That's very strong. I recommend getting that on your ring, and that's why I recommend putting a ruby in your rapier, because the higher you go, the more damage is converted into fire damage, and that synergizes well with our ring. And then in terms of gems you want to put into your armor and your jewelry, I recommend putting this gem right here, since it reduces physical damage. Now, if these will be pretty expensive, since they'll be highly sought after gems. After that, I recommend getting the diamond version, which is physical and elemental damage absorption. After the diamond, I would actually recommend the moonstone, because most people like to run slash weapons, so this gives you 3% slash damage. And then malachite's the opposite version of a diamond, and then opal's is pure elemental. So I would recommend going from this gem into the diamond, into the moonstone, into the malachite, into the opal as your last resort. But that's the order in which I would put your gems into your armor. For your rapier, 100% recommend running a ruby, since it's synergical with a ring. And for your fire staff, you want to run the opal gem right here. So whenever you don't have stamina at full, you'll deal 12% more damage, 15% I'm pretty sure at tier 5. Which is massive, since that is insanely easy to proc. But if you don't want to run the opal, I would then recommend running this gem, 25% damage against targets with full HP. That's also very strong, since you're allowed to open the fight with additional damage. That's what I would run on the fire staff. Now we'll go over our consumables. Consumables are very important in this game. For example, a weak health potion heals me for 800, while a powerful healing potion heals me for 2800. That's a very big difference. Getting tier 4 to tier 3 food. Tier 4 food heals you 150 health per second, which is very strong. But tier 3 food is a lot easier to come by. So if you can't run tier 4 food, I wouldn't sweat it too much. And then running the highest regeneration potions you can. So like this tier 4 for me. And then I recommend putting honing stones. The highest honing stones you can run is also extremely valuable. Not as valuable as the potions. Definitely recommend top tier health potions before anything. After that, regeneration potions, then food, and then the honing stones. And then for your weapons, I recommend putting the whetstone on them, so you deal 3% more crit damage. I recommend putting these on both weapons, since when your rapier is very easy to proc crits, since you'll be behind them, and when you're behind someone you get guaranteed crits. This synergizes very well with the whetstone. And for the fire staff, this is also good because we want, when our fireball is a hit, we want it to crit very strong. But if you don't want to run that, getting a guaranteed light and heavy attack deal 5% more damage is very nice, and crit chance is also very good. But for example, if you don't want to craft your weapons, you don't really need to, since the faction weapons are actually very strong. So this like 60 fire staff gives us the crit chance and our light and heavy attack still 9% more damage, which is a very strong and reliable weapon. I definitely would recommend getting your armor and your jewelry first maxed out to get the right passives, since the faction ones do come with the correct passives. Not the like really good passives. I recommend this passive right here over the other ones, but they do come with this passive and this passive, which are both very good. So I definitely do recommend getting your crafted armor and your jewelry first before you focus on your weapons, since getting the fireball passive on all your armor is much more crucial than getting the correct weapon passives. And it's a lot easier to get the weapon passives just from buying them from the vendor than farming the mats and rolling until you get the correct one. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get right into our weapon abilities and their passives. For our first weapon, we're going to go over the fire staff, since I think this is the main weapon we're going to be using for this build. For our abilities, I recommend getting everything I have here except this passive. I recommend getting combat speed instead. I was just running this for wars, and I just wanted to see how useful this really was, and I don't have the Azov to respec at the moment. But I definitely do recommend getting combat speed over this. Also, I also got this because it allowed me to get this passive here faster, which is very strong in wars. So let's go over the order in which you're going to want to get your abilities, and then I want to explain them, the key ones, and how they should work together. So you're going to go from up here down to let it burn, get burnout, get all in, get heated up. After you get heated up, you're going to come up here and get spell focus for some extra sustain. Get clear mind, get your fireball, come down here, get spell slinger, get flare. This helps you out in the early game since you don't have that 200 intelligence, and heavy attack no longer consume mana is very useful to have. After that, you're going to get Prophet of the Fire God. You're going to then come right back up to here and get combat speed. Then you're going to get singed, watch it burn, kindle. After kindle, you're then going to come over here and get pillar of fire, get clear casting, and then get fire restoration. And after that, you should be able to get runes of Helios. Alright, so let's go over the important passives. So the passive that synergizes well with kindle is of course anything that burns. So you have watch it burn, which a light attack allows you to create that burn. Singe with a critical hit with the fire sash allows you to create a burn, and burnout, this all creates burns here. So this all goes 20% longer, and that synergizes very well with let it burn. Gain 10% fortify for 2 seconds whenever someone is burning. So that allows you to switch to the rapier, and you'll still be getting this 10% damage reduction. That is very strong. When you're on the offensive, you're taking 10% whole less damage. And then some other thing that synergizes well together is spell slinger here, 50% critical strike chance. And Prophet of the Fire God, while holding a fire staff, your critical strike deal 20% increased damage, massive damage increased passive. Your other damage increased passives are here: clear casting, if you haven't taken damage in 3 seconds, deal 10% more damage. That's a pretty self-explanatory passive. And the passive right here, where while holding a fire staff and below 50% max health, you deal 20% increased damage. So if you want to do some extra damage before you pot up, that's what I recommend doing, is casting your abilities before you pot. so you do that extra 20% damage. So just keep that in mind when using your abilities. And then Runes of Helios here, this allows you whenever you cast an ability, you then proc a rune below you, which allows your spells, not your autos, to deal 30% more damage. This is very strong because you can open up with, let's say, Pillar of Fire, and then combo that with a nice 30% stronger Fireball. The way Pillar of Fire works is someone is running through Pillar of Fire. Let's say they're running through it and you use it, then it will actually double hit. But if they're standing still or not really doing anything, then it's only going to hit once. This isn't the most reliable ability to hit since you have to predict decent amount. You're also kind of stationary, so it's not the most useful. Definitely takes some getting used to, and definitely needs some LOSing when using this. And then you got the Fireball. This is your damage ability. Burnout, your gap closer / escape, and this gives you more distance with getting heated up. So a cool thing is if I use Burnout and I use it there, when it ends, the rune will actually spawn where the Burnout ends. So you can keep that in mind if you want to burn out, then turn around and use your Fireball like that, and you're still going to be getting the 30% damage bonus. Alright, let's go right on to our Rapier now. For our Rapier here, I recommend getting everything I have here except for Desperation. I don't think this class is very useful. I tried to make use of it. I definitely think Controlled Breathing would be better because extra stamina is always nice when you're going to be rolling a lot. And then for abilities, it will be Evade, Flèche, and Riposte. In order which you want to grab everything will be Evade, Flèche, and Riposte. Maxing out Flèche here, then maxing out Evade. After you max out Evade, you're going to want to get Red Curtains, and then Momentum should be unlocked. Get Momentum, this is a massive power spike, I'll go more into that later. After you get Momentum, you're going to want to get Swiftness. And after you get Swiftness, I recommend getting On Guard, then maxing out the Riposte here. Insult to Injury, Priority, Lasting Consequences. After you get that, Refreshing Strikes, and then the last passive you will get will be Controlled Breathing. Alright, on to some of the important things. So whenever you Flèche ends, you basically get a light attack. That's why I recommend getting this thing first, since you do more damage, and it's basically a double hit ability. Since you're going to be basically hitting people twice with it, if you can use it correctly. And then after that, Evade is very strong, since you get Breathe It In, which gains 20 stamina on immediate use. Allegro here, 20% movement speed for 3 seconds. Adagio, evading forward, gains 15% increased damage on your next light attack. Crescendo. This basically allows any light attack to reduce the ability by 30% each, which basically allows you to power farm the evades. And then the evade on top of this will gives you momentum whenever you use an ability at 25% increased damage. Combo is very nice since you can basically evade infinitely. And you use Crescendo to keep reducing it, so you're getting iframes while light attacking and light attack resetting, while getting this nice 25% damage bonus. So it's very good. It's very good to use Rapier to execute people on low HP. Going for the Flèche, get the interruption auto, and then going for the auto evade combo. Red Curtains is critical sight, reduce all cooldowns by 5%. So it's very useful because it's very easy to get behind people on the Rapier, and you're basically always guaranteed a critical strike when you're hitting someone from behind. That's why this is very strong. Swiftness, movement speed on attacks, nothing else to be said there. On Guard, deal 10% more damage when your target is greater than 50% health. Also very useful. Refreshing Strikes, reduce cooldowns by 1% on any hit. Also a very strong passive. And then you got the Rapier passives here. So Insult to Injury, this allows you not to be CC'd for 3 seconds. This is actually very strong. Depending on your playstyle, I actually would recommend getting this earlier, like maybe right after Momentum. You can get this instead if you want to use this more, but this comes down to how much you like using Riposte, because getting this passive very early on can also be very useful. That's another option. After that, but then I would wait until like where I said to get the last 2 passives with Rapier, because Priority here reduces all Rapier cooldowns by 20%. So that's pretty useful, but it doesn't affect evade at all, really. So it only really using that for more faster riposte and faster Flèches. And then Lasting Consequences. This increases the stun of riposte to 2 seconds, up from 1.5. And the reason why you get this passive is because if you time it right, so if you parry in the correct position and then you roll dodge, you actually have enough time to charge a fully heavy and backstab someone, guaranteeing a crit. It's not the easiest thing to do, but if you can pull it off correctly, you basically guarantee a crit on a backstab with the 25% increased damage. So it's a very high risk, high rewarding combo to use, Because if you mess it up, you don't even get any damage on it. So it's you gotta know what you're doing to do that properly, and it's too hard to be performed on the 1.5 seconds. That's why you get it up to 2 seconds. Alright, if you guys have any questions regarding the build, I'll be happy to answer anything down in the comments below. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Alright, I'm going to bring you guys some nice PvP commentary here. So we're going to start out by hitting this guy up, poking them down with some nice Pillar of Fire. We're then going to look for the parry here, doing a bunch of damage into the auto attacks there. We try to flash through the guy there to finish him off. Pretty sadly lose 1 HP. We go back, use the bird out there, doing a bunch of damage to them. And we're going to roll back once again, finish him off with a Pillar of Fire. We look for some heavy weaving, but they staggered me out of it. Nice job by them. Get another heavy attack in there with the parry. Use the flash to try and finish this guy off with the evade there. But it was with 1 HP, so I decided to heal back up and switch back to my fire staff, looking for some more burst here. As he's about to die, he kites back just in the nick of time. Nice job by him. But now his teammate's on me, so I look for some more heavy attack weaving into an evade there, parrying at the last second just to barely save my life. Pop my potion here into another Pillar of Fire, getting a nice big critical right there to finish his teammate off. And now we're just going to walk around and grab the remaining loot. Alright, for our next fight here, we're going to be going against 3 people once again here. We're going to start by looking for some poke damage on this man on the left. We missed our fireball sadly, but we hit a nice big Pillar of Fire there, doing a bunch of crit damage. We also hit him with the burnout there. And now we're just going to try and look to kill this guy by roll dodging through his teammates into the flashe, but he rolled through that. Nice roll by him. And now we're just going to look for some light attacks here to finish the man off. But sadly, we missed them. I go for a parry there, I parry way too early and get punished really hard for it. Pretty big mistake here. Here I rolled just in the nick of time to avoid the reap. And we're going to roll back into the burnout there, doing a bunch of damage into the crit fireball. Now we're going to roll back into another Pillar of Fire and a double hit right there since the man was running through it. Now we're just going to auto evade this guy down. We're going to parry him for R1, so I mean, go for the roll backside there, but we barely miss it. And now we're just going to keep feeding those autos. Roll dodge the reap into the auto attack to finish him off and clean up those kills.